You notice it before you understand it. People don't argue with you anymore, they simply stop asking. Conversations feel shorter now, not because there's nothing to say, but because something quietly left the room. You feel it in the pauses, in the way your words land, and don't echo back. No one tells you what changed. There's no confrontation, no explanation, no warning. You replay moments in your head, looking for the mistake. But nothing feels loud enough to explain the silence. And here's what you never noticed. Respect rarely disappears all at once. It leaks out slowly. You didn't suddenly become less valuable. You became more predictable. Your reactions arrive before your thoughts do. And people start to read you faster than you read yourself. This is where most people misunderstand themselves. They think respect is lost through failure, not through familiarity. You explain too quickly now, not because you're confident, but because silence makes you nervous. You fill gaps before anyone asks. And, without noticing, you teach people not to lean in. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. What feels like openness can look like need. You laugh at things that hurt you. And your nervous system mistakes tension for connection. You didn't choose this. Your nervous system did. Once, this behavior kept you safe. It reduced conflict, softened rooms, and helped you belong. But what saved you once is hurting you now. Because the room has changed and you haven't noticed yet. People don't disrespect you because you're weak. They do it because you removed friction from yourself. You smooth everything over before it can matter. And nothing that never resists can feel solid. And this is the part no one warns you about. Being easy to deal with is not the same as being respected. Respect lives in edges. And you've been sanding yours down for years. Here's the painful part. People feel safest around what has shape. When your identity blurs, attention drifts. Not out of cruelty, but instinct. Your mind learned to adapt early. It learned to scan rooms instead of standing in them. You read faces before finishing sentences. And you adjust before anyone asks you to. This wasn't your personality. It was survival, but survival strategies don't expire on their own. They stay, even when danger is gone. And this explains why it never changed. You kept reacting as if something might break, so you shrink first. You soften first. Over time, people stop feeling your weight. And weight is what makes presence real. They don't push against you anymore, because there's nothing left to push. This isn't about dominance or ego. It's about self-image quietly collapsing inward. Your subconscious learned that visibility was dangerous, so it trained you to disappear politely. But invisibility never earns respect. It only earns tolerance. And tolerance feels calm. Until you realize no one would miss you leaving the room. This is where the grief starts. Not loud, but hollow. You weren't rejected. You were slowly erased. And yet, none of this makes you broken. It makes you adapted. Adaptation is intelligent. But it's not always truthful anymore. Because the danger isn't here now. Only the habit remains. And once you see that, the silence around you starts to make sense. Here's what hurts the most. You start blaming your personality instead of the pattern. You think you're too much or not enough. But neither of those were ever the problem. The real shift happened quietly, when you learned that being low friction felt safer than being clear. Clarity creates tension, and tension once meant danger. So your mind chose harmony over truth. Even when harmony erased you, this wasn't weakness. It was intelligence under pressure, but intelligence that never updates becomes a trap. It keeps solving problems that no longer exist. And this explains why respect faded without a fight. There was nothing left to push against. People feel grounded around grounded identities, and unsettled around those still negotiating themselves. So they step back subtly, not to hurt you, to stabilize themselves. You read that distance as rejection, but it's actually confusion. Confusion about where you end, and where they begin. And this is where respect quietly dissolves. In the absence of psychological edges, not walls, edges. Edges tell the nervous system what's real and what can be trusted. Without them, people feel unanchored. So they disengage to regain balance. This is the part that stings. Your kindness was never the issue. It was the absence of self-definition behind it. Kindness without shape feels uncertain, and uncertainty makes people cautious. Not cruel, cautious. So respect didn't leave because you failed. It left because your presence stopped feeling solid. Here's the quiet truth beneath all of this. You've been living slightly outside yourself. Watching yourself from above, adjusting in real time. That distance once kept you safe. Now it keeps you unseen. And seeing this doesn't require fixing anything. It only requires honesty, not performance, not improvement. Just the recognition that your system adapted early and never got the memo that it's safe now. This wasn't your personality. It was survival. And survival doesn't ask permission. It just acts. Understanding this doesn't change people overnight, but it changes how you see yourself in the room. And that shift is quiet, almost unnoticeable. You stop rushing to fill space. You let moments stand, not to prove anything, but because you no longer need to disappear. And people feel that before they understand it. Just like before, presence returns before respect does. Quietly, not louder, not harder, just more real, more defined. And this is where things finally slow down. Inside you, no advice is needed here. No conclusion forced, only the clarity that nothing was wrong with you. Something was outdated, and when that lands, the room feels different again. If this video didn't just inform you but recognized you, then staying here makes sense. Not to follow a channel, but to keep meeting the parts of yourself that were never explained out loud.